Today is the 15th of the month. It is Child Tax Credit Day. My colleagues and I are here to talk about why this program, the Child Tax Credit, is so important to children and to their families, and why the United States Senate needs to pass the Build Back Better Act so that checks can continue to go out next month. Families can use their monthly checks to pay for groceries, for child care, for clothing, the rent or their mortgage. And I have no doubt that this month, what they probably want to do is to be able to buy presents for the holidays for their children. You know, passing the Build Back Better Act is perhaps a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to lock in the child tax credit, which is Social Security for children. We cannot let this moment pass.
It's called the Biden Child Tax Credit, but Rosa DeLauro is the person who has made it a passion in her life and a mission that she will not be satisfied with until we make permanent. Right now, we need to extend the child tax credit. It's in the Build Back Better legislation, which we must pass. And this makes such a difference to America's working families, to help pay the rent, to put food on the table, school supplies for families. I've heard testimonials over and over again in my district and here in DC and across the country about the difference the child tax credit makes to America's families for the children. Thank you, Rosa DeLauro.
One of the most successful things we've done this year is to make sure that families with children can do better. They can give their children what they need, nutritionally, health care, the things that young people need to be healthy and to be good citizens in the future. The child tax credit is one of the most important pieces of legislation we passed through the House of Representatives. We put it in the Build Back Better Act.
Child tax credit has been an enormous success. It has reduced child poverty in this country by over 30%. As somebody who works a lot on hunger and food insecurity issues, this has meant that our children are not going hungry, that they're getting access to the nutrition that they deserve, that they're entitled to.
In the 18th Congressional District, $272 million in tax cuts for 90,000 working families. It lifts middle-class families. At the same time, it cuts child poverty, and of course, we support working families. It's so important, and I want to see through the Build Back Better Act the extension of the child tax cuts.
I want to commend Rosa DeLauro for taking the lead in passing the child tax credit. In Connecticut, we've been able to lift people out of poverty, and middle-class families have finally gotten the tax cut that they deserve, and it shows up where they need it most in their wallet, and it helps our children out. God bless Rosa DeLauro.
Child tax credit has been such a critical lifeline, making it possible for parents to purchase groceries, to pay rent, to better support their household and their children. This is a game changer, cutting childhood poverty in half. We have got to make this permanent. I hear stories every day from families in my district about the difference that this has made in their household. We have got to pass the Build Back Better Act to leave no worker, no community, and no family behind.
Child tax credit, which was created in the American Rescue Plan, is about to expire. We must extend it. It has made a massive difference in terms of low-income kids. It is the most pro-life policy to help families make a decision about the safest, healthiest way to raise kids.
One of my constituents, Daisy, is a teacher in Pasadena, California on a tight budget. She told us about the tremendous relief she felt when she got her monthly child tax credit payments to support her 4-year-old son and to rebuild her savings for a more secure future. Today, millions of families around the country, just like Daisy's, will receive another monthly check of up to $300 per child from the IRS. But Congress must pass the Build Back Better Act immediately to ensure that these monthly checks continue after this month in order to keep supporting our families.
The child tax credit is a game changer for working families. It helps families pay for childcare, for school supplies, for groceries. If the car breaks down, so many of our families live paycheck to paycheck, and it has given them the peace of mind they need to get back to work and take care of their kids. We have to keep the child tax credit, and Build Back Better does that.
These are payments that have been called Social Security for children and tax cuts for families with children. We approve this support for children over the objection of every single Texas Republican, and now they're trying to stop the payments altogether.
District alone, the child tax credit has helped cover basic needs for over 100,000 children. It will cut child poverty in half in America. We must make this tax cut credit permanent. It is essential.
It's December 15th, which means it's Child Tax Credit Day. And for the 13th Congressional District in Michigan, it is a critical day. We're the third poorest congressional district in the country. And close to 70,000 of our families are impacted in a positive way. So we want to make sure we continue to support the child tax credit, continue to talk about how important it is. 4 million children are helped every single time we encourage and support the child tax credit.
The child tax credit is a keystone measure in creating Social Security for kids. We must sustain the program that has lifted almost 4,000 kids in the Massachusetts 4th out of poverty in just 1 year.
The time is now to extend the child tax credit for the Build Back Better Act. We must pass this critical legislation. The time is now.
Since these payments started in July, we've lifted 3.5 million children out of poverty. But if the Senate doesn't pass the Build Back Better Act by the end of the year, we risk losing out on the progress that we've made with the child tax credit. We must continue lifting children out of poverty and rebuilding our middle class by getting this bill across the finish line right away.
What an amazing thing to have the opportunity for me to vote on a bill that will lift over 3 million children out of poverty. The child tax credit, which is part of the Build Back Better, will allow us as a country to address the needs of parents of children by paying for food, shelter, to buy grocery, and to give them that extra amount of resources so that we as a country can lift up those who need us the most, our children.
I'm going to continue to advocate and fight for making sure that the childhood tax credit is something that we can have and extend and make sure that our resources are available to our families who are getting through these difficult times.
The child tax credit has transformed the lives of over 116,000 New Mexicans, helping to put money in people's pockets, put a roof over their head, helping to put food on the table and address basic needs. This is why we must pass the Build Back Better Act and get it done by the end of the year.
Look, the costs of raising a kid can be overwhelming, but by putting child tax credit payments in family wallets every month, we've already reduced child poverty across this country by 40%.
Rural families. Let's talk about how they are impacted by this child tax credit. We've got 71,000 families in the congressional district I serve, many of whom are from small town Illinois. Those are the kind of families that are going to benefit from the child tax credit that we need to make sure that we reinstate by the end of the year.
As a scientist, I know how crucial the early development of children is. And as a businessman, I know that the return on investment in our children is the highest of any that we can make. But as a father and as a grandfather, I know that child tax credit has been helping hardworking families spend more time with their children, perhaps the most precious thing of all.
In the 6th district alone where I represent, these numbers are so big I have to look at paper. 78,000 families have received payments, received over $164 million in credits. Those programs expire at the end of the year. We have them renewed in the Build Back Better Act. We have got to get them renewed. People need them. Mothers shouldn't have to choose between their diapers and their rent. Get it done, please, Senate. Thank you.
In Minnesota, it makes all the difference as it does for children all around the country. It means families have the money to buy that extra pair of boots, that coat, maybe get something special for the kids to eat, a real treat. We are lifting children out of poverty, and it's more important than ever that Congress and the President sign into law, making permanent the child tax credit.
This is a tax cut for working families with children. It is so important. And all of the major economists tell us that passing this bill cut childhood poverty nearly in half.
The child tax credit has been transformational in my district of Pennsylvania's 7th congressional district. More than 134,000 children in my district have been favorably affected as a result of it.
Today is Child Tax Credits Day, and checks are hitting the bank accounts. It is so very important for families that we extend child tax credits. Thank you.
The child tax credit makes such a difference in northeastern Pennsylvania for 90% of the children in northeastern Pennsylvania, over 100,000 children. Now, this is a great tax cut for the American middle class, and it's working in Pennsylvania.
Good news, bad news, good news. The good news is tomorrow, 177,000 Delaware children will benefit from the child tax cut. Bad news, we need to make sure that it is extended. Good news, we can do that when we pass Build Back Better.
Worked hard to support the needs of working families in my community, and that's why I was so proud to work with colleagues like Representative Rosa DeLauro to make sure that we enacted the expanded child tax credit. More than 100,000 children in my community alone receive that funding, which helps them reduce the burden that they face as parents and help in a significant way to support their families.
130,000 plus people in Wisconsin in the 2nd Congressional District are going to get the child tax cut that Democrats passed. I hope we continue this when we pass Build Back Better and support Wisconsin families.
Tomorrow in my district, 90,000 payments will go out to 127,000 families with young children who now have the ability to make sure that they can pay their bills and make ends meet and not have to choose between going to work or taking care of their children. We've got to make sure that that continues through the rest of this year and beyond. We have to pass Build Back Better, pass the child tax credit, and make sure we take care of Florida's families.
Tomorrow, checks will go out in my congressional district in Rhode Island to support 90,000 children, a real tax cut for working families. We have to make sure this continues by passing Build Back Better now.
This is critically important in my district. Families are using this money to buy groceries, to pay for heat, to pay for gas, so they can get to work. If we don't extend the child tax credit, it will be devastating for the people who are relying on these payments. So please, help us pass Build Back Better.
A mother told me that it was allowing her child to have 3 meals a day. Another told me she could buy a bed. We need to take care of our children and our families, and this lets that happen. We've got to get Build Back Better done and extend the child tax credit.
Hi, this is Rick Larson. I've got 3 numbers for you. First off, I'm from the 2nd Congressional District in Washington State. Second, I've been told I have 15 to 20 seconds to finish this. The third thing I want to let you know is there are 76,000 working families in the 2nd District who rely on the expanded child care tax credit. And we need to pass that. It's part of the Build Back Better Act. It's in the Senate, and I'm calling on the Senate right now to pass the BBB for working families. Please do it. Thanks a lot.